The night she knocked on my door, soaked from the rain, holding nothing but a duffel bag and a broken smile. I thought I was saving her. I wasn't. I was opening the door to the person who would quietly take apart my entire life, piece by piece, and smile while doing it. And by the time I understood who she really was, it was already too late. My name doesn't matter, not really, not after everything that happened. But for the sake of the story, let's just say I was a regular guy, 31 years old, living in a quiet two-bedroom apartment in the suburbs of Columbus, Ohio. The kind of place where the neighbors wave but never really talk, where the streetlights buzz a little too loud at night. I worked as a freelance graphic designer, mostly logo work, some packaging, nothing glamorous, but it paid the bills. I had my routines, coffee at 7, walk at 8, desk by 9, bed by midnight. I liked the silence. I liked the predictability. I had a girlfriend once, Megan. We dated for almost 4 years. She wanted kids. I wasn't ready. She left in the spring, and I spent the summer pretending I didn't miss her. By the time fall came around, I was used to being alone again. I told myself I preferred it that way. Then Haley came back into my life. Haley was complicated. She was my college roommate's younger sister. We met maybe 4 or 5 times years ago at house parties, birthdays, that kind of thing. She had this loud laugh, the kind that filled a whole room, the kind you remembered. I hadn't seen her in almost 7 years, so when my phone rang that Thursday night in October and her name lit up the screen, I just stared at it for a few seconds. "Hey," she said, her voice shaking. "I'm so sorry to call you out of nowhere. I didn't know who else to call." She told me her boyfriend kicked her out, that she was standing in a gas station off Route 33 with no car, no money, and nowhere to go. That her brother lived in Seattle now, that her parents weren't speaking to her. "Just for a few nights," she said. "I swear, I'll be out of your hair before you know it." I should have said no. I should have called her brother. I should have offered to pay for a motel. But I didn't, because she sounded scared, and because some part of me was tired of the silence in my apartment. So I said yes. That was my first mistake. She showed up 2 hours later, hair plastered to her forehead from the rain, mascara smudged. That duffel bag I mentioned, that was all she had. She hugged me like we'd known each other our whole lives. "You're a lifesaver," she whispered. I made her tea, gave her clean towels, set up the guest room, the whole 9 yards. The first few days were nice, actually. She cooked dinner one night. We watched old movies. She told me funny stories about her job at a dental office in Cleveland. She made me laugh. I hadn't laughed like that in months. But then, the small things started. It was the 3rd night when I first noticed it. I came out to the kitchen around 2 a.m. for water, and she was sitting at the dining table, in the dark, just staring at her phone. Not scrolling, not typing, just staring. She didn't hear me at first. When she finally looked up, her face shifted so fast, from cold and blank to bright and smiling, that for a second I wasn't sure if I'd really seen what I thought I saw. "Couldn't sleep," she said quickly. "Sorry, did I wake you?" "No," I lied, "just thirsty." I went back to bed, but I lay there for a long time, listening. The next day, something else. I came home from a grocery run, and she was in my home office, standing behind my desk. My laptop was open. When she saw me, she jumped. "Oh, sorry, I was just looking for a pen. Mine ran out." There were 3 pens on the kitchen counter. I smiled, said it was fine, but that night, I changed my laptop password. By the end of week 2, she was still there. She kept saying she was figuring things out, that she had a job interview lined up, that her cousin in Pittsburgh might let her move in. But every time I gently asked about her plans, the topic would shift. She'd talk about my work, my family, my ex, my friends. She asked a lot of questions. A lot. What was my mum's maiden name? What street did I grow up on? What was the name of my first dog? What bank did I use? Did I keep a safe in the house? At first, I thought I was being paranoid, but then I noticed she had 2 phones. I saw it by accident. She was in the shower, and her bag was open on the couch. There was her usual phone, the cracked iPhone she always carried, and then, peeking out of an inner pocket, a small black flip phone. I didn't touch it. I just looked. and kept looking. Why would someone with no money, no job, and no car have two phones? That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying everything she'd told me. Her boyfriend's name, Daniel, the dental office in Cleveland, the brother in Seattle, the story about her parents. Pieces of it didn't fit. Like, she said her boyfriend kicked her out, but she never had bruises, never had a panicked look. She showed up with a duffel bag that had been packed neatly, folded clothes, toiletries in a little pouch, documents in a folder. That wasn't a, he just kicked me out bag. That was a, I planned this bag. I told myself I was overthinking it, but the next morning, I tested her. "Hey," I said casually over breakfast. "Didn't you say your brother lives in Seattle?" "Yeah," she said, sipping her coffee. "What part?" She paused, just a half second too long. Capitol Hill area, I think. He moved last year. Her brother lived in Tacoma. I knew that, because I still had him on Facebook. He'd posted photos from his apartment 2 weeks ago. She was lying. I smiled, nodded, changed the subject. But inside, my stomach was twisting. Who was sitting in my kitchen? Investigation phase. Look, I know what you're thinking. Why didn't I just kick her out? I asked myself that too, 100 times. But here's the thing. I didn't have proof. Not really. Just feelings. Just gut. And if I was wrong? If she really was just a scared, broken woman who needed help? I'd never forgive myself. So instead, I started watching. I bought a small camera, the kind that looks like a USB charger. I put it in the living room outlet, facing the dining table. I changed my passwords again, set up two-factor authentication on every account I could think of. I moved important documents, my passport, my social security card, my tax files, out of the house and into a locker at my gym. And I started writing things down. Conversations, times she went out, times she got phone calls. She was on that flip phone more than I realized. She'd take it into the bathroom, whisper into it. Once, I came home early and I heard her in the guest room, talking low. I caught 2 words before she went silent. Almost ready. Almost ready for what? That night, when she went out for her usual evening walk, at exactly 8:15, like every other night, I went into the guest room. I didn't search her bag. I didn't open her stuff. I just looked, and what I saw under the bed, a small notebook. It was tucked between the mattress and the box spring. I almost missed it. I pulled it out with shaking hands. The first page had my full name. The second page had my address. The third page had a list, written in neat, careful handwriting, of every bank I used, my employer, my freelance clients, my ex-girlfriend's name, my mother's maiden name, my birthday, the make and model of my car, the license plate, and on the next page, a list of other names, 6 of them, 6 men. Each name had a city next to it: Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Indianapolis, Louisville, and now, Columbus. Next to 5 of those names, a small check mark. Next to mine, nothing yet. I stood there for a long time, holding that notebook. My hands were ice cold. She wasn't just lying. She wasn't just hiding something. She was running a script. I was number 6. I took photos of every page with my phone, slid the notebook back exactly where I found it, smoothed the bedspread, went back to the living room, and I waited. When she came back from her walk at 8:47, she was smiling, cheeks pink from the cold. She kissed me on the cheek, something she'd started doing about a week in. "You okay?" she asked. "You look pale." "Just tired," I said. "Long day." She made me tea, the same way she had every night. I poured it into the sink the moment she turned her back. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat in my office with the door locked, and I started searching. The names in the notebook, the cities. It took me 3 hours, but I found them. Local news stories, small ones, buried. A man in Cleveland, robbed by a woman he let stay in his apartment, cleaned out his savings, disappeared. A man in Pittsburgh, same story. Different name on the woman, same description. A man in Detroit, Indianapolis, Louisville. She'd done it before, 5 times. She wasn't just a thief, she was a professional. She picked lonely men, men who lived alone, men who'd recently broken up, men with steady incomes and weak social safety nets, men like me. She'd stay just long enough to map them out, get their info, get their trust. Then she'd wait for the right night, when they were asleep, when she had everything she needed, and she'd disappear. Bank accounts drained, cards maxed, identities stolen. And the men? Most of them never even reported it, out of shame, out of confusion, out of love. I sat in my office and stared at my screen until the sun came up. She was asleep on the other side of the wall. The woman who had eaten my food, slept under my roof, kissed my cheek, was a stranger, a predator. I knew if I confronted her, she'd run, and she'd just do it again to someone else. So I called the only person I could think of, a detective, a friend of a friend, retired Cleveland PD, now working as a private investigator. His name was Carl. Carl listened to everything. He didn't interrupt. He didn't laugh. When I was done, he said one sentence. "Don't tip her off. Let me make some calls." For the next 3 days, I lived a lie inside my own home. I smiled at her. I made small talk. I ate the dinners she cooked, even though every bite tasted like sand. She had no idea I knew. She kept playing her part. Sad eyes, sweet voice, soft touches on my arm, little hints that maybe we could be something more. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. On the 4th day, Carl called me. "She's got 3 warrants," he said. "Different names, different states. We have enough to bring her in, but we need her to make a move, something prosecutable. Tonight, leave your wallet on the kitchen counter, leave your laptop open, go to bed early, and don't lock your office door." I did exactly what he said. That night, I lay in bed with my eyes wide open in the dark. I heard her footsteps at 1:14 a.m., soft, careful, down the hall, into the kitchen, the faint click of my wallet opening, then the office, the chair rolling back, keys tapping on my laptop. She was there for almost an hour. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. At 2:23 a.m., the front door opened. She left. I sat up in bed and texted Carl one word: now. They caught her 2 blocks away. She had my wallet, a copy of my passport scan from my laptop, my login info written down on a folded piece of paper, and the keys to my car. She was also carrying that little black flip phone. When the officers searched it, they found texts from a man, her partner. It turned out she wasn't alone. She had someone helping her, someone who picked her up after each job. He was waiting for her in a car around the corner. They got him too. It's been almost a year now. She took a plea deal, 12 years. I had to testify. I had to sit in a courtroom and look at her face, and she looked at me like I had betrayed her. That was the strangest part. The hurt in her eyes, like I was the bad one, like I had broken some unspoken rule by daring to see through her. I think about her more than I want to admit, not because I miss her, but because I trusted her. I let her into my home. I let her into my kitchen, my routines, my silence. I told her things I hadn't told anyone since Megan left, and the whole time, she was building a map of me, a blueprint of my life, so she could take it apart. I've changed since then. I don't open the door for strangers anymore. I don't trust sob stories. I don't keep important documents in my house. I keep my doors locked, even when I'm home. But the bigger change is on the inside. I used to think loneliness was the worst thing that could happen to a person. I was wrong. The worst thing is letting the wrong person in because you were too lonely to ask the right questions. Sometimes I sit in my apartment at night and I look at the chair where she used to sit, the mug she used to use, the corner of the couch where she'd curl her feet under her and laugh at my dumb jokes. And I remind myself, none of it was real. She wasn't running from a bad boyfriend. She wasn't lost. She wasn't broken. She knew exactly what she was doing, and I almost let her finish. If I'd been just a little more tired, just a little more lonely, just a little more willing to ignore that voice in my gut, I would have woken up to an empty bank account, a stolen identity, and a guest room that smelled faintly of her perfume. And I would have spent the rest of my life wondering what hit me. So, if you take anything from my story, take this. Kindness is good. Helping people is good. But your gut is older and smarter than your kindness. If something feels wrong, it is wrong. If a stranger shows up at your door with a perfect story and a packed bag, ask yourself who packed it, and ask yourself why. Because the people who hurt you the most aren't the ones who break down your door. They're the ones you invite in. I let her crash at my place. That was my first mistake. I almost didn't live long enough to make a second one.